Now moving to the next the session, the third of this day and second last, that is public health and conflicts. Actually, I struggled to assemble the speaker for this session, but at the end of the day, I am really satisfied that we have 4 speakers here, and you can see that is of course from 2 from the Gujarat Pollution Control Board, 1 from UNICEF, and 1 our own David. So what I would do is that the first, as they confirmed, I will go accordingly. So then the first speaker for today is the person, and then followed by Tawaniji, then David, and then the Babeji. So then we have, it is now I would like to invite Dr. Prasoon Gargava, Regional Director, CPCB Vadodara. What I can say, please switch on your video, the Prasoonji. And are you there? Yeah, actually, yeah. So what I can tell is that he is one of the, one of his kind, and very the combination of the gentleness and knowledge. He is a regional director, and he's under his directorate. His office or his organization is looking at several pollution control enforcement, the inception and monitoring of common environment facilities, CETPs, STPs, and also interstate river monitoring. And actually, he has been part of this green tribunals. He understands the conflict. He has been the part of several expert committee constituted by Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Climate Change, as well as the many. So I had the opportunity to learn from him in few committees, and that's where I knew that I want to know from him and listen from him. So then, Prasoonji, you have 7 to 10 minutes to share your experience with or without slide, as you like.
Thank you very much, Manish ji, and good evening to all present for this technical session. First of all, I would like to make a small correction. I'm from Central Pollution Control Board, not from.
Oh, sorry.
So, no issue. Good. So there is very limited time available. I would like to share one actually a case study specifically, which is directly related with this topic of this particular session, public health and conflicts. So since I'm part of this pollution control or regulatory mechanism, so we come across several conflicts on various environmental issues. So I thought it would be good if I can share my experience, one of the experiences related with conflict management, where we used our technical intervention as well as regulatory intervention also. So before this, I would like to share some facts about our national monitoring program, which we are. I will be covering 2 aspects. One is few facts about our monitoring program and initiatives which are taken by Government of India at national and regional level, and then case study which I am discussing about. So we have close to 4,000 monitoring water quality monitoring stations in India, and we have identified 350 polluted river stretches on 323 rivers. And there are several initiatives taken by Government of India at national level as well as regional level. Regional state pollution control boards are also taking many actions. And specifically, if we talk about the national initiatives, we have discharge norms, standards to protect the water bodies. And we are revising the norms also for common facilities for industrial sectors, STPs, and also other utilities from time to time, to address the requirement of the environment. And then we are in the process of strengthening of national water quality monitoring program. The number of stations which we are seeing are continuously increasing, and even state pollution control boards are also having good number of stations on their own, which they are handling on their own. besides this national program. And Government of India has taken initiative, and all high pollution potential industries are having now online effluent discharge monitoring system, and we are getting the data directly connected with our portal, central portal, as well as state pollution control board portals. And we have support mechanism to promote common effluent treatment plant with subsidies and other soft loans. Mass awareness training is also part of that. And state level or regional level, we have prepared all action plans for state pollution control boards have prepared action plans for polluted river stretches, which are under implementation. In situ treatment of water in small drains, it also started. And this implementation and enforcement is a regular phenomena. We have constructing CETPs, STPs as per demand, and other water conservation initiatives are also taken. I would like to now come to the main this particular case study. Here, this I am discussing about the industrial area which is located in Maharashtra. This is very close to Mumbai. It is located near Navi Mumbai area of Maharashtra. And this industrial area is having around 930 or 950 industries located there. And out of that, around 230 industries are generating wastewater. So the problem was here that the collection system was not very strong, and a lot of leakage seepage in the industrial area, and there was very high concentration. There's one common effluent treatment plant which was receiving effluent with very high concentration. There were litigations, complaints related with water pollution in the area. Odor nuisance was also there because of spills, leakages, and ineffective performance of common effluent treatment plant, gross exceedance of discharge norms by CETP. And this was affecting not only the in the growth of industry, it was affecting the economical other activities, fishing activities, and other activities also of the area. So it was a very important matter of conflict which was to be resolved. So there were several changes which we identified. There were a number of multiple stakeholders, like industrial association was there, common effluent treatment plant operator, state pollution control board, industrial development corporations, and public representative. So all these stakeholders were having divided responsibilities, and that was the problem. It is to coordinate and to find out the way. That was a big challenge for us. And even the CETP was receiving the effluent with very high concentration of, if we compare with the design concentration values which were considered. And the hydraulic load was also in excess of the design capacity of common effluent treatment plant. And there were a number of functional deficiencies which we observed in the CETP. So we made in 2018 September, we started working on it, and we prepared a very strategic plan. And first we set up our goal that we should set right this collection system. We should set right the operation maintenance of common effluent treatment plant, and for overall improvement, we defined certain objectives. And very first thing which we did is was the consultation with stakeholders. We invited all the stakeholders at one place. We heard their issues, their limitations, and based on that, we worked out a action framework, which is implementation. And that action framework, we taken into account limitations of these stakeholders also. And then we rolled out this action plan sometime in December 2018, or January, you can say January 2019, for implementations. And we very clearly defined what is to be done and what is to be done by whom also, and time frame and so many things we mentioned very clearly. The important aspect was that we incorporated the review mechanism also, because if we incorporate the review mechanism at the very beginning, how we are going to review from time to time, if it is very clearly defined, then inputs can be utilized in a very effective manner. So this was our strategic plan, and based on that set of actions and the agencies which will be responsible to take these tasks, that we worked out. And like, for example, here you can see in this action framework, there are two parts. One is technical interventions, one is regulatory interventions. Regulatory interventions we utilize for to control the supply of the water in the industrial area so that we can keep a check on the hydraulic load. And then we suggested for increased surveillance vigilance so that, we get the good quality or the quality which is well within the design influent norms of the CETP. And unauthorized disposal also for, we have used this regulatory intervention. Besides that, on technical aspect, we suggested that the pre-treatment facility in a member unit should be strengthened so that, CETP gets the proper influent quality in consistent manner. For that, awareness program for industry. Then after that, we suggested the way how the entire mechanism, this system of pipeline system of the state should be strengthened to stop the leakage and spills. Then for development of a good laboratory in the CETP, so that they can keep a continuous watch on the operational parameters on day-to-day basis. And then we suggested certain aspects also, unit-wise operational aspects for the CETP for revamping. And then even we suggested for proper training of manpower which is engaged in day-to-day operation of CETP. So with intervention of technical and regulatory interventions, we tried to achieve this improvement in wastewater management, and we found very good results. So these are the few major actions which we have taken: awareness program for industrial units for pre-treatment, increased surveillance, reduction in water supply to manage hydraulic load, repair maintenance of carrying pipelines, which I have already narrated. And then phase-wise repair maintenance of revamping of CETP. This CETP is having actually basically based on the activated sludge process, and it is having two parallel streams. One is having 10 MLD capacity, another is of 12.5 MLD. Except the hydraulic capacity, both are identical. So we suggested for phase-wise. That is why reduce the total water supply. We suggested for reduction about 50% into the total water supply of the industrial state, so that one train can be used at a time and the another train can be taken for the repair and maintenance. And then with all these major actions, we now the entire CETP is revamped. Even the effluent collection system is also strengthened, and both the trains, like 10 MLD and 12.5, both the trains are now revamped completely and in operation. And even it is the hydraulic capacity is increased by 5 MLD. And see, this is the graph which is showing. I have selected only because of paucity of time, I have selected one parameter, COD. You can see from December 2018, it is continuously, we have seen the control on the inlet concentration as well as outlet concentration. Even in fact, someone can say that because of COVID-19 and all, maybe this low concentration values you are observing because of the decrease in the economic or industrial activity. But that is not the case, because even if you see after the May 2019 also, there is a decline in the concentration values at inlet and outlet both. So this is how gradually we achieved this and our objective. And now the CETP is consistently giving reasonably good results. It is yet to come in complete within the norms, but it has reduced to a great extent. So these are the learnings from our this action framework. Importance of consultation, dialogue with stakeholders in conflict management is very important, and importance of multi-pronged approach. Normally the CETP used to take only their experiments with the one technology or two technologies or alternate technologies. But the overall approach with the other outside control at source and all those things are very much important, including the role of regulators are also very important. And the last part is importance of proper integration of regulatory interventions with technical interventions. These are the three learnings which we got from this particular exercise in Maharashtra. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, this is very good thing for David, at least because he will have a chance to see the perspective of our government organizations, and this was amazing that it's like it's not that you are not researching, you are also researching and trying to put things in the context and trying to implement. Implementation is like is entirely different ball game. So that's for us, Prasoon from Central Pollution Control Board, and one of the very down to earth, stuffed with the knowledge and experience. So we move to the next speaker, that is Dr. Naresh Tabhaniji. He is representing here Gujarat Pollution Control Board, and he is involved in implementation of various environmental acts. What can I say is that if there is a competition between Prasoon ji and Tabhani ji to be a gentle person, they are really go their work about very meticulously. They don't fuss about anything, and they get into the work. So these things I really admire in both of them. Tabhani ji has been the member secretary for GPCB for a while, and then he served the Paryabaran Mitra Committee in 2009 and 10. Very short notice, I invited him because he is seeing a lot of conflict handling with the industry pollution issues. So Tabhani ji, either with the slide or not without, you have the 7 minutes to say that.
It is start with slides, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I'm very much thankful to Dr. Manish Kumar. He invited me to express my views and whatever the works we have done through GPCB. And as per my knowledge and your knowledge, and everybody knows that Gujarat is a very industrial state. Yeah. So I think in chemical sector, we can say that 30-40% of the chemicals we are manufacturing all over the country. Yeah. So this is the basic scenario. And for wastewater treatment, I can say that we are having total 33 CETPs. Yeah. Now let us start with this wastewater-based epidemic. Recently, IIT Gandhinagar, Dr. Manish Kumar, and our GPCB team, they surveyed so many locations and took so many samples to find out the COVID, the SARS virus in the wastewater. And it was, I think, first kind of this study in the world. And entire credit goes to Dr. Manish Kumar. He published the report, and based on that report, we can identify the COVID patients, even many facet treatment and all this. Next, please. Next. Yeah. Previous, please. Biomedical waste management. Yeah. During this pandemic situation, Gujarat Pollution Control Board has very good activity for biomedical waste treatment and facilities. For the entire state, our teams were very much busy, and in response to outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, GPCB issued letter for the compliance with biomedical waste management rules, specifically for COVID-19 waste. Our 27 regional offices, Indian Medical Association, and common biomedical waste treatment facilities, they were warned to take all these measures. And looking to the pandemic situation and increase in number of cases, GPCB has planned to utilize spare capacity of the individual hazardous waste incinerator located in individual industries and common hazardous waste incinerator also. Because we are having total 19 common biomedical waste incinerator facilities. I think this is the highest number in the country. Even though considering the this COVID waste generation, we have one and started collecting this COVID waste for the incineration in the common hazardous waste incinerator facilities also. And accordingly, this waste was managed. Next. Now, owing to the COVID-19 pandemic followed by the national lockdown, industry's activity were at the lower level or stopped. Because no manpower was available during this lockdown period, transportation, everything was stopped. So without manpower and this raw materials, it was not possible to industries to get the production activities started. So therefore, the definitely the less effluent generated and discharge. Hence, it is appropriate time to study the level of the pollution coming from the industrial sectors and to assess the health of the rivers so as to find out a measurable impact on the surface water quality because of the imposed national-wise lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemics. And we have taken so many samples from the river, surface water, even underground strata also to compare the situation. What is the pre and during the lockdown period situation? So what is the quality of the water? Next. The Gujarat Pollution Control Board is monitoring the water quality from 70 sampling stations located on various rivers in the Gujarat state under the monitoring of the Indian National Aquatic Research System, that is MINARS project. Also Global Environment Monitoring System, that is GEMS. So total 8 sampling stations we are monitoring. And we have noticed that many of the rivers are flowing with some healthy water, you can say healthy water, because all the parameters, BOD, COD, ammonical nitrogen, earlier it was some little high. In this pandemic period, it was very low. And because of that, DO level also increased. The load of the pollutants BOD, COD is observed, it is decreased. Okay, next. Some of the rivers have pollution load because of the domestic discharge. And this discharge has been remaining continually in the lockdown, hence no significant impact of lockdown observed. We can say that in some of the areas like Jaipur, even areas like Surennagar, Rajkot, where the industrial activities, there was no industrial activity, but due to this domestic wastewater sewage, it goes in some places with treatment, without treatment into water bodies. So it impacted on the water bodies, and that water pollutant level was not decreased. It was as it is. Even we have noticed in the river like Tapi and Narmada, that quality of the water was the remains same, because actually reason was not that industrial, but no industrial activity in that vicinity of that points. Next. This is the air quality. We have measured that domestic activity, industrial activity were very slow down. So because of that, ambient air quality is improved. And ultimately, we can say that whatever the pollutants goes into air, ultimately it settled down somewhere, and by any means of way, ultimately it goes into water bodies. Next. Summary of the spatio-temporal variation of the air quality index in the Gujarat. We can say before lockdown, during lockdown, and April, this Gandhinagar, Maninagar, Vatwa, Ankleshwar and Vapi, these 5 areas, we are continuously measuring the air quality index in the state. So it was, we can say that it is during lockdown, it was very healthy. One thing I want to mention here that this industrial activity, not only industrial activity impacted badly on the environment, I can say the ambient air quality, ambient water, because we have noticed that during this lockdown period, many industries are not in a position to work. Even though some of the area where the domestic activity was higher, we found that pollutants are at the same, and where the industrial activities is not at all, that was impacted. Yeah. Next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tawani-ji. Actually, this data, if you are not publishing, share with us.
No. Just I want to share one more thing. Whatever we have sampled, we have taken sample from all the rivers, GEMS, MINARS, all the data are published in our website. You can see, you can check, and you can get it from our website. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's a
or
good
river quality,
and,
ambient quality, whatever the data you want, it is there.
Oh, that's
so many.
Yeah. So this is because that is a lot of effort goes behind generating those data, and that's good that even during the pandemic, it means the GPCB workers were in the field and taking the sample. So it says that the many government organizations in India is really doing their work and active, no matter at what situation. Now our third speaker, second last speaker of the theme is Professor David Werner. He is co-convener of this symposium, and he is the professor, full-fledged professor at Newcastle University, UK. Those who have tuned in just today, I can just say that he is the mentor with the African Academy of Science Mentorship Scheme, and a British Council is sponsored leadership training water initiative South Asia. So many places he goes and mentor, and that is and he is still, I think, a core researcher at still in there. He has kept himself that way. He is the panel member of UKRI-NERC Digital Environmental Call. He is the US Developmental Call. He is the recipient of Humboldt Foundation Fellowship and also Willie Studer Award. David, your turn.
Thank you, Manish, for the introduction and also for bringing together a panel that includes practitioners and people that actually work in the real world. I think it's very nice to hear about their work as well. So I'm very pleased by that. So I'm gonna just give a brief introduction to a conflict that I've come across a little bit in my work in different countries. And, you know, it's just to start a discussion rather than to provide a finished story here. But something I've seen often is that working in Africa, working in Asia, you've got these large cities that are just booming and expanding at an enormous rate, and that this then can create conflicts and at the edge of that growth where the cities are expanding into the rural environment. And I think water quality is maybe an underestimated aspect of that conflict between the urban and the rural population. So I'll just touch on some examples for this. So we did work in Tanzania with partners there in a city called Dar es Salaam, which is the economic hub of Tanzania. What I'm showing on this slide here is how the population has changed over the last 70 years from something where 100,000 people lived in this place to a city almost the size of London. So this is just an incredible change in the number of people that live in the same place. And of course, that is then difficult for the city developers to keep up with this type of growth. So we did some work on the edge of the city, actually just next to the airport. So this is literally 100 meters away from where you land with a modern airplane. But just across the road, there's a settlement where they don't have water supply and they don't have sewerage. And then this leads to a conflict between a very dynamic city population and some, you know, very sophisticated buildings and so forth that have water supply and areas that don't have that. So something that really struck me working in this neighborhood was looking at how much people pay for water and what the quality of that water looks like. So people have access to different types of water sources, including shallow wells in their own courtyard. They can buy bottled water in a shop. There's a borehole that's managed by the community, that's a source of water. And there's a piped supply, but it's not piped into the building, it's piped to a point where people can collect the water from. And that's managed by the community. So the shallow well, the water quality is terrible. It's just not a good idea to drink this at all. Lots of fecal bacteria. The only safe water in that neighborhood is bottled water. And I could give you a lot of data around it. But so for the people that live there, of course, quality is just one aspect of how they decide which water to use. And safe water means more than good quality. It also means available, accessible, acceptable, affordable, and so forth. So that's where the price comes into play. And I've just put some numbers here that show if you want the good quality water, you pay 333 Tanzanian shillings for the bottled water. But of course, the shallow well water, the rainwater is free, but it's very poor quality. So there's this conflict between quality and price. And the most interesting one is the piped water. So if these people in this neighborhood buy water from the kiosk, it costs 5 Tanzanian shillings. The same water in the city center, if it's supplied to a hotel, it's 1.7 Tanzanian shillings. So this is the same water, but where it's delivered to people's houses, which tend to be the richer people, they pay 1.7 shilling. And then these people in the unplanned settlement, they pay 5 shilling for the same water. So that's very typical that actually the people that can afford it the least, they pay the highest price for water in this type of setting where the infrastructure cannot keep up with the growth of these urban environments. This is another area where we work. This is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and very rapid growth again. And we look at the quality of a river that flows through this city and how the city is having a negative impact on the water quality there. And we do the science, but this is a person that lives on the river, and he knows as much as we know. So you know, when you interview him, he says, well, this water in this river, we used it for domestic purposes. We used it to wash clothes and even for drinking, but we don't do it anymore. And then he goes on to say, well, there's a discharge of wastewater from condominiums. So these are new buildings, new apartments that have been constructed to accommodate the population that's streaming into this city. But they now discharge wastewater into the river without treatment. And it means that these rural people, they can't even use the river water for their cattle anymore. And they're very aware of it. And, you know, we can go and we can do the science and maybe need to move this away. We can prove that, yes, so this is a pathogen here, Arcobacter butzleri. As soon as the river gets in this urban area, we see these pathogens in the river at very, very high concentration. So we can prove it with science, but the people that live there, they just know it from experience. And it's another example for a conflict at this interface between a dynamic, growing, economically active city and the rural environment that it is growing into. And then just one more example. This is from Thailand, Bangkok. So we looked at water quality in the coastal aquaculture region. So this is where people grow shrimp. So this is the rural environment. And we just heard from Sanjeev about antibiotics. And we also thought that these shrimp farmers use antibiotics in aquaculture, and that's causing problems with water quality. But when we did the measurements, we realized that actually the pollution with the antibiotic-resistant bacteria is coming from Bangkok. It's coming down this canal here. The wastewater is being discharged into the canal that drains Bangkok, and this pollution is being transported into the aquaculture region and is causing water quality problems there. So the AMR bacteria were not being from aquaculture farming, they came from a lack of wastewater management. And it's just one example of the pollution that affects these aquaculture farmers. So there's also nutrients and so forth, and they struggle to maintain their livelihood because the water is polluted by the citizens of Bangkok. And I think, what's the solution here? I think the solution must be that the people that live in the city, they need and they can afford, my argument would be, at least a lot of people in the city can afford to pay for wastewater treatment. So currently in Bangkok, which is a thriving metropolis, wastewater treatment is for free. It's partially covered by the government. But there's lots of people living in this city that think nothing each time they cross a bridge, and they might be doing this daily. They think nothing of paying 50 baht as a toll to get across the river. So that's the cost of using the bridge as an infrastructure. But they're not willing to pay 50 baht per month to treat their wastewater. So what I would like to maybe bring up for discussion here is, unless these cities pay in some way for the treatment of their wastewater, we are going to see all of these pollution issues, and we need to find a way of how we can convince people that it's part of their responsibilities as citizens to contribute towards the costs of that. So that's it for me. If you want to read more about the thing in Bangkok, there's a publication, but I better stop talking now.
Thank you, David, for a very nice presentation. And of course, you remain to the point. Of course, our next theme speakers are already here, but I would beg their pardon because we have one more speaker, Professor Raghu, Professor Misra, and Professor Goyal. So please bear with us. We will get start the last session very soon. We have just one speaker left, and then we will have 5 to 7 minutes of discussion, and then the theme, the last theme on climate change will be moderated by Professor Jain, who has already joined it. So the last but not the least, we have Dr. Syam Narayan Dabe. He is WAS specialist at UNICEF, Gandhinagar, India. At present, he is very important to me because he has also funded a project that is COVID-19 surveillance project for weekly surveillance of Ahmedabad. He has worked in several projects of UNICEF related to water sanitation and hygiene. And he has been, I have seen it closely because this is the first project funded by him in last, so I have seen that how keen he is on involving himself on capacity building of stakeholders at various levels and closely worked with several NGOs. He has enormous experience, and he agreed to come to this forum and try to work on that, whether what conflicts he has seen on the field. Dr. Dabe? Yeah. So can you, yes, we will run this slide. Please run.
Shall I?
Yeah, please.
So, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Manish, for inviting on this virtual webinar with collaboration with the Indo-UK virtual conference, and you are discussing rightly the water issue. which is primary to my portfolio in UNICEF. I deal with water, sanitation, and hygiene. And since you mentioned 5C's, we try to link the entire contaminants, how the climate change is affecting it, what are the kind of possible conflict, and COVID is on overarching, which is affecting everyone globally. So we are dealing with that, and this, when all these things are together, this another cocktail, you can see another C, how it is affecting children, because another C which matters for UNICEF is children. So in that context, as you know, UNICEF is having a mandate globally to work for children, their survival, development, growth, so that they can contribute with their full potential in their life. All the child rights which are enshrined in the Child Rights Convention, and every country has agreed that they will work to provide the opportunities in life for children, which include basic human right for water and sanitation, safe water and sanitation, and hygiene. So we can see that how children are matter. They are our future, and unless children life is fully protected, they have the full right for survival and safe water, there are conflict. If government is not providing, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So
Next.
the conflict comes when the children's rights are not fulfilled, and that's where UNICEF advocates. So in the context of climate change, what everybody knows that how it is human activities are affecting, and the global warming is resulting into a lot of issues, including the water security, water safety issues. And if we see the global climate risk index, India is the 5th most vulnerable country in the world in terms of climate change. Next. So when we see the children and climate change, as I said, there are rights for children, which is survival right, development right, protection right, and participation right. All these things are somewhere affected because we can see, because of climate change, the increasing floods, droughts, cyclones, all are affecting the children's realization of these rights. And it has COVID over and above has also affected the entire livelihood and economics. And we have also seen the impact on the drinking water quality because of climate change. So these all are together making the issues more complex, and the vulnerability has increased because of that. Next. If you see the Gujarat context also, there are several hazards because of geoclimatic and physical features which we are prone in earthquake, flood, droughts, cyclone, lightning, all these things. And we have tried to calculate what proportion of children in how many districts are at risk. And the risk analysis informs us that where we need to work for children and how we strategize. Next. There are various sustainable development goals which all we are working. There are commitment and declaration, global commitment. We need to work to safeguard the interest and save the life from epidemics and natural disasters and climate impact. We all are committed, and as Professor Manish said, UNICEF is working with a range of partners, right from climate change department at the state level to IIT for knowledge and evidence generation for wastewater epidemiology that was mentioned by the previous speaker from Pollution Control Board. Next. The water security is one of the issues which we all are connected. We have seen previous speaker where the 1 million people almost are drinking unsafe water. We have seen the students from Singapore University, they are saying about the resistance to the antibiotics and the problems, whole range of problems. In India, it's also the large population and many districts are water scarce. We can see India, if you see the ranking globally, India ranked 120 among 122 countries in water quality index. I mean, the subject close to Manish Kumar's Department of Earth Sciences. We can see that the challenge is visible and it's not very far away. The Sustainable Development Goal 2030 is not very far. We are already entering 2021, 9 years to go, but there are challenges which are even more increasing because of COVID. Next. These are some of the data we can see that the domestic use is comparatively very less. The problems and pollutions are coming from various other sectors. We need to see integrated response, convergent response to address the water quality and water security issue. Next. Per capita water and population, if you see the analysis, we can clearly see that the population rising and the per capita decreasing, the gap is widening. Unless we work for integrated water resource management, the demand and supply gap will keep on increasing. Next. Water quantity, again, also an issue we have seen in the joint monitoring program. Global data have informed that the one end, the quality part, chemical and biological contamination and pollution is increasing. The other end, the water depletion in 718 districts, 2/3 are with extreme depletion. So unless we work in a composite manner, the issues of water access with quality and quantity may not be addressed, and climate change is an overarching issue. We need to see how we mitigate and adapt those changes. Next. This is again data which shows that over the year 95 onward 2011, the number of districts which are having safe water, groundwater development and the exploitation, it has increased. So it's very documented by Central Groundwater Board. Next. Water quality, I already said how it is affecting both in terms of arsenic, trace metal, pesticide, everything. I mean, in the pharmaceutical, the ingress of seawater, it is affecting everybody's life. Next. The public health risk, again, this is something which we all are concerned, and unless a kind of joint convergent initiative is not taken to have a clear understanding how we can address, and particularly the poor people who are at the receiving end. We have seen where was the most COVID affected people. They were in slums, in urban slums. And Dr. Manish Kumar is testing wastewater, how people, those who are not having resources are going to be affected. The losses are in billions. Next. So, in terms of disease burden, we can see the children and malnourishment. We have seen even the latest NFHS data which was released last week. The malnourishment is increasing. Children are most affected. Water and sanitation is directly linked. If the poor water quality, poor hygiene, poor sanitation contributing to child malnutrition and maternal deaths also. And the air pollution again is also linked. We see that more emission and more pollution, it is also linking to the air quality and the respiratory hygiene issues and problems. Next. So together we need to work in terms of mitigation measures, water security and climate change, and all stakeholders need to work together to see that we adopt improved scientific ways for managing water, managing pollution, managing or rather bringing climate resilient approaches and technologies. UNICEF, to conclude, will be also supporting climate resilient WASH technologies and measures in the coming year 21-22, and there is a lot of scope to collaborate and work together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daveji. Actually, I have, very interesting questions and like that, but I think I have to confine to the only 3 things. So maybe all the panelists can come on video if they don't mind. Prasoonji and Tavaniji. So actually, I have only 3 questions, and then we will hand over to the conference to Professor Vikranjan. So in that case, the first thing is about government organization. As a government organization, how difficult do you think that to have saving the interest of the people, which just want to save their interest? That doesn't need to be aligned with the environmental requirement. And how, but the need of taking the hardest steps. So being at the helm of CPCB or GPCB, how do you find that conflict going?
First of all, I can say that for 8 or 10 hours, I am a government officer. For the rest of the hours, I am a citizen of the country. So I have to think not for only for me, for my family, my near and dear all. So for the compliance of the any type of the pollution, we are imposing so many actions to the industries. We are taking action, and with support of the government and association, we are trying to solve all the environmental issues.
Prasoonji.
Yeah, here it's a very interesting question. In fact, I find it very interesting because we come across so many conflicts. Some are related with water, some are related with air, and different subjects, different geographical areas, different even cultural setup also. So what is actually important is to resolve any conflict. First, we have to actually create confidence among the stakeholders. Like, if there any complainant or any public, if they are having some grievances. So first, we have to create confidence in them that we are going to proceed in a very fair and way and balanced way. At the same time, if they are having grievances against any stakeholder, so we have to take them also into confidence that whatever we will be doing, we'll be doing with quite with a balanced manner and without any bias. So that once we build up that confidence, and then if you gain the confidence and if you plan that, you can resolve the issues amicably.
Actually, and how do you play the pressure of industrialists? I mean, and also because what I feel is that the more pollution you will cause, the more benefit you can cause. Even if it says that polluters should pay, but in fact, the pollution pays you. As an industry and as an anything, if you pollute, you may have some financial gain. So how do you people give about the industries? I mean, their pressure, because they are giant, they have money, they have power.
So now this entire our enforcement mechanism is now changed. Gradually, it is changing. That was the subject of past when people were thinking that if you pollute, then you save it. But now the people are realizing that if they are polluting, so maybe if they are saving today, but maybe in future they may need to pay the heavy cost for that. So that is that sort of atmosphere we have to create, because as a regulator sometimes we have to work in a very strict manner also. So there should not be only always goody things. There should be some fear also that of the regulations or law of the land. So that we have to create also.
I think that has been happening, and that is good to know. I wanted it to coming from you. Just David, just one question, and then last to the Daveji, and then I finish. What is the contrast have you seen? You visited India, Thailand. You are living in UK. You are Swiss by yourself, and the Cambodia, Tanzania. Where do you think is the conflict is going? What is the similarity and what is the dissimilarity? Just give me to the point that, okay, if you see any such contrast.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the big question is always, can people afford to pay for environmental protection? And that will be different in different countries. But as I, moved between different countries, I started to think that in some places it would be affordable. So in the UK, wastewater treatment, the inventions go back 100 years, implementation go back 50 years. So these kind of mid and emerging economies, I think people can afford to actually pay for environmental protection, and that's necessary. So unless you've got a source of revenue, I often see that with World Bank credits, you can build the infrastructure, but you need to have a source of income to run it. And I think that's the challenge, finding that income to keep your infrastructure running.
Okay, thank you very much, Daveji. I think I think you are doing the well, and you have given your input. And due to the paucity of time, let's skip any question from you, and because our panelists are waiting. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming on the board.